Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Kokoll. I am here today with Hanya Zia, and we are discussing the very mega important topic of overcoming the dynamic of overcoming the dynamic of domination within one's energy system and moving that toward empowered kindness. And it's so important because if we have domination imprints, which if we're in a human body, over lifetimes, we're most likely going to have some pretty severe imprints around domination that have been accumulated over lifetimes, over many situations. If you just look at human history, this is definitely played out. So this can be stored in us as the dominator, the dominated, and we can attract people, situations that are going to reflect back to us domination. People that speak to us. It's all about the tone, the dominating tone, or where we kind of feel we have to submit to these things. And we all know we consciously don't want to attract this, but it keeps maybe showing up. We might keep bringing in those people that behave in that way. So this class and this journey is kind of at the energetic level where the domination imprints are held. We're hoping to literally start to change that, the configuration of how everything flows, vibrates out, relates, and how we relate to ourselves to move that toward empowered kindness. You have anything you want to add, Jirhania?
Yeah, I think a really important piece in all of this is really recontextualizing our understanding of what empowered kindness is, and not equating power to dominance, which I think is such a big misunderstanding within the human species. We equate domination and control and influence over others and equating that to power, and we then fear that empowerment within ourselves, actually holding it, grounding it, you know, and we fear that that same state in others, and so really changing the way that we understand empowerment and power is a big piece, and grounding that new recontextualized template really deeply into our body, like at a physical level, um, really changing how we understand that. To be from a space where empowerment and power is being able to really influence your own inner state and influence how you feel and how you react, and not actually project that onto others, not trying to control others or influence others, but regulating one's own inner state and really being grounded in who you are is extremely powerful. And that is what allows for greater boundaries, really being able to project your inner boundaries and values outwards, not only energetically, but also through speech and your voice. And, having the power of your own being actually be able to project through your voice that has its own energetic template and charge and really affects change, can even stop someone in their tracks, from um, being dominating towards you. So I think that's a really important piece as well.
Yeah, because the universe tests this, in our sphere of engagement.
Yes.
We do that courageous inner work where I see the lifetimes of slavery or whatever, if
Yes.
I was the other gender and I was in some pretty dominating, marital arrangements, right? We're brave on that front. We're courageous of facing those things and healing that pain and, feeling where we have been dominated, growing, expanding beyond that. And then there's this, our sphere of engagement where, the universe kind of shows up and tests us with a wink of it's something we would not prefer coming back in, where we
Yeah.
need to be able to have those words ready. And even for me, sometimes I kind of gotta it's scary. I gotta ooh, summon up my courage and be like, okay, I'm gonna roll the dice on this whole um, empowered kindness thing, this whole truth thing, this whole divinity thing. I'm gonna literally roll the dice and kind of stand up to these people that are being intentionally cruel or deliberately dominating. Like, so
Yeah.
we are growing and tested within, how courageous we are. We're growing and tested without. And hopefully, this class can have both aspects empowered.
Yes.
So, we're going to be bringing through a lot of divine beings, and Goddess Kali just keeps showing up because this is her territory. It's fierce truth. And if we have been dominated in many lifetimes, then how many people have the karma of slavery or some disempowered iteration there thereof? There's like an unconscious place where it just feels normal. It's like this is just kind of relationship, or this is just how it is, or this is just how the circumstances play out. So hopefully we can start to illumine that place where we don't even know domination is playing out for us. This may be a context within or without that can be illumined during this healing and restructured to really bring that change through.
Absolutely. I think also it requires like a hardware upgrade within the brain where we can actually understand that we can experience a completely different reality than what we've like authored for ourselves, right? So if we can change how we choose to experience reality itself, where we can actually see we are not being impacted by these energies and we don't contain it within ourselves. And oftentimes we attract these dynamics subconsciously because life actually wants us to work through it. Life wants us to resolve this pattern. And it can also happen because it's just a dynamic that we're so familiar with, right? It's just about familiarity, and we're not used to something else. We
It's
haven't
so
actually seen what it's like to be truly grounded in our own empowerment, in our own truth, in our own voice, and to truly know who we are and speak up from that space. So this is what we're really going to be going into with our class, and really bringing in um, really bringing in these templates that will allow us to really speak from a space of authenticity and clarity that isn't rooted in self doubt. I think a huge piece around this is like really clearing self doubt, that comes from like really feeling oppressed for a long period of time in your own energy system, whether it's ancestral or global, like we talked about, just um, all of the various ways we've experienced violence in the world, and all of the ways that really in our primal nature as human beings we really covet like control. Controlling others, controlling the world, because at a very base level we actually feel powerless and we're not able to face that vulnerability. And so when I really look at domination, what I see is um, somebody who's really feeling powerless inside and doesn't know how to understand themselves in context with and in a relationship with everyone else, so they feel the need to control and dominate. And when you really see it as actually what they're experiencing is powerlessness, you can like take yourself out of that hold, those cords with that other person where you perceive them to actually be holding this power over you that they don't actually have.
seeing that kind of weakness, and insecurity, and yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a wonderful, wonderful thing to illumine and strengthen our position as we seeing that as we work through these dynamics.
Yes.
Could you talk any more about that kind of we know we have a lot of kind of heavy lifting to do on the lifetimes that have been imprinted karmically around domination. So we know that's and um and just kind of expect feeling kind of trapped in it, feeling like it's hopeless, right? There's not really
Yes.
a clear path out of it. So we're stuck on earth, we're stuck in situations, contexts, and relationships where domination seems inescapable. And it's just so depressing for the soul. It's so just really, it's such a bummer. But on the other side, you spoke to some templates that were coming in. Could you just, is there anything, because in that shift, as the initial disillusion of that being trapped, of like, oh, my free will is just utterly stifled. Um, as that starts to soften, release, and not be such a strong holding within, and this shift toward whole empowered kindness, can you talk at all about those templates you see coming in or that
Yeah,
positive side of things?
absolutely. So, with empowered kindness, I really feel a template coming in that's really rooted in just, yeah, radical courage, like really radical courage that has to be grounded and like rooted in your body, rooted in the root chakra, through your legs, like below your feet, is the first basic template that's coming in, is that radical courage where you're willing to liberate yourself and speak the truth and be who you are, even if it means death. So that kind of radical courage. Um, that's the first template that's coming through. And then the empowered kindness templates are really templates of our energetic system being sovereign from the influence of others, but without this push and pull dynamic with the person that's trying to influence you. So it's this radical clarity. Um, it's this radical clarity in your own templates about complete ownership of who you are unapologetically. Really, really feeling that come in.
Profound. And I've been deeply, deeply, deeply feeling that because domination is associated with survival. And
Yes.
who knows how it's ultimately going to play out this lifetime, but we do know a lot of the survival fears, a lot of that vibrations and energetics doesn't actually play out at the end of our, incarnate state.
Yes.
Our mortality isn't on the line, though it feels like it is. But that ability to be like, oh my God, my energy system, my emotional system feels like it's dying, and the ability to be able to sit in that fire, to sit in that transformation and breathe through it, just gains immense courage because that's the
Mm-hmm.
threading, that's the stitching that keeps us like unable to stand up, unable to go forward, unable to break through. Like,
Yes.
no, my so one kind of
Yes.
seeing relatively, we're by and large most of the time pretty safe, even though we feel some intense states. And as we start to be able to dissolve that energetically, so much is going to be able to shift and change. And just like you're saying, the radical courage begins to emerge, and those entrenched relational dynamics of this is just how it is. Maybe for some of us out there, this is how it is and has been for lifetimes.
Yes.
And so you are taking that stand, and maybe there were lifetimes, context, situations where, like it was, you stand up to domination, it was a threat to your survival. But hopefully now you're in a context where that is not so much true. Hopefully it's the lifetime where we can live our truth and find the courage to do it. So as some of those survival fears start to
Yes.
peter out, fade out, and we can face them, there's going to be just that ability to express oneself is really going to be
Yes.
ignited with rocket fuel. So
Yeah.
that
Absolutely. And it's also about clearing those primal fears also, like from the way we speak, so from our throat chakras. And there's templates available for our throat chakras and for the way that we speak, so that we can be really, really direct. That's what these energies of domination require, is being able to speak to them very, very directly, without fear, without doubt. Just speaking to them very, very directly. um, and I think it's important to understand that kindness is not niceness. Nice and kindness are separate. Being kind at a soul level, like from a soulful place, is really speaking in a way and doing what's the highest and best good for your soul and for the soul of the other person. And sometimes that requires being really direct, honest, and truthful, and nipping some of these energies right where they are, and stopping them. And that's one of the kindest things that you can do for yourself and the other person, so that they don't end up going into dynamics or states where they end up creating more negative karma for themselves.
Yes. Yes. And it feels like, the state of the world right now, we're not going to change, domination dictatorships, but we do have our own kind of sphere of engagement and the kind of
Yes.
our karma plays out within that sphere of engagement. And then we have our courage, we have grace, we have our spiritual practices that are evolving us
Yes.
and meant to evolve within that sphere. So that sphere of engagement is where we're meant to stand up to that person and really grow beyond it. And this can also be playing out unconsciously. So if you choose to participate, it's possible new dynamics just start to flash in your awareness during class of what? That was domination. That's domination. Okay, or we can be dominating
Yes.
towards oneself. So that's all going to get brought to the forefront. And we're going to be offering some general clearing. So you can do the recording for the energy healing. Hanya and I will be, for the class we'll be teaching. If you participate, you'll have the recording and you can use that recording to re-deepen multiple times. Also, we're going to be offering individual illumination. So, like where domination is kind of the biggest domination dynamic for you, was do a little private voice memo and share a little bit about where you're feeling challenged by that dynamic. And we'll collaborate a little bit to focus your awareness of where it should, could we perceive it could be most helpful to hold your awareness relating to domination during class. And with that, there'll also be just larger scale domination dynamics we can't not hold being a human, not being a fully enlightened being or an avatar. We're going to have some stuff. So, one at some level, probably all of us have at some level, it's just a part of us, but just an association that life is domination, So, just think about how sad that is, how disempowering that is. Just what a utter bummer it is. Like where life as a whole is domination. Like I'm gonna go through it and either I've got to grab my spear and charge forward, or that's gonna be happening to me. Um, just to build momentum, we want to absolutely start to soften that. So more of us within our sphere of engagement can claim our magic, and we need to move this dynamic to really bring more grace through into that sphere of engagement. So, so class is on the 28th of March at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. And I'm going to drop my email. The link will be below. Please reach out if you feel like it can serve your process.
We look forward to seeing you there.
Awesome.